Hello everybody, I hope you can hear me. So if you could maybe just type in hello or raise your hand. Excellent, that's great. Okay, brilliant, thank you. So my name's Matt, I'm going to be your moderator today. I'm just going to run you through a few slides before I hand over to Lynn. Apologies if it's a little bit noisy here today. Okay, so if this is the first time that you've joined one of our Macmillan sessions, I'm going to give you a quick overview of the interface. So on the right hand side where you're looking at this, you can see this is the slide window. So this is where Lynn's slides will appear. The top left, this is where you'll see the list of all the participants. Underneath that you've got the chat window and then the audio controls. Okay, if at any point you do have a problem with your audio during the session, if you just go to the Tools menu and then go Audio, Audio Setup Wizard, and that'll probably sort out any issues you have. Okay, at the moment the video's not on, but in a minute when Lynn starts we'll turn the video on. And just a few controls that you have here. You can drag the video around anywhere on screen by grabbing the control bar. You can make the video larger or smaller by using these two icons. And if the video appears to be coarse or grey, if you change the quality setting here to fine colour, and that'll give you the best possible video. Okay, so there is a chat window, as you've probably seen on the left hand side. So you can choose to send a message to anyone in the room, just the moderators, or to the whole room. Okay, one thing to note is that we are recording this session, so any messages you send will be recorded. So just something to be aware of. Okay, just two things to note. One, as I said, we are recording this session, so it will be available later from the webinar page. And second, there is a certificate of attendance available, and we will tell you how to get that at the end of the session. Okay, so there'll just be a quick break now, and I'm going to hand over to our main presenter, Lynn Lougheed. Okay, thank you.
All right, Matt, I should begin then, I suppose, right?
Yeah, whenever you're ready, Lynn. Thanks.
Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning to me here in New York City, and good afternoon to you, and perhaps a very good evening to most of you. We're going to talk today about Direct to TOEFL, a brand new book put out by Macmillan and written by me. So I've chatted with a few of you, and it turns out that very few people, it seems, teach TOEFL now, but many are interested. So I assume, though, that you all are familiar with what TOEFL is and what it has been and what it means to your student. But what's really, really interesting about Direct to TOEFL IBT is that it's totally new. It's the newest TOEFL book on the market. It's the one that matches perfectly the current TOEFL exam. I started with TOEFL back in 1983, and after that many other TOEFL books came on the market as well. And as the TOEFL changed, as you may know, that they've gone through maybe 7 or 8 or 9 different TOEFL exams. The books didn't really change. They just kept adding more and more information. So instead of discarding the parts of the TOEFL that were no longer used, these authors kept them in the books and then added more. So in the end, you suddenly have a TOEFL book that's over 600 pages long with a lot of ancillary materials. What possible class could that fit? What student is strong enough to carry around all those books? What teacher has enough time to direct herself to prepare lessons out of this book? No one. Absolutely no one. So to answer that question, we then looked at just what the TOEFL is absolutely teaching today. And then we devised a book that would meet just those needs. So we've really condensed the whole skill set that a student needs into this compact book. So what does a student need, well, to do in the TOEFL? We're going to discuss that all the way through the lecture this morning, but I want you, if you have any questions, type them in and perhaps I'll see them on the screen, and if they're really easy questions, I'll answer them. The important thing about the TOEFL is that it is, the important thing about learning skills for the TOEFL is that it's really the student's responsibility. And because of that, we're going to make the student sign a contract. Make it so that he and she really commit themselves to learning. This isn't, you can't you can't study for the TOEFL in 1 hour a week or 2 hours a week. It's a huge commitment. If you want to score well, you really have to apply yourself. So you have to make the students are grown up now, they have to make a commitment to learn. So we've devised this contract that says, I, student name, commit to studying for the TOEFL. I will use the Macmillan Directed TOEFL IBT and I will study on my own as well. I understand that in addition to learning about the TOEFL, I need to work on improving my English skills in general. I commit to studying English for blank hours a week. Now it doesn't matter, well it does matter how many hours they put in, but whatever number of hours they put in, they have to actually do that, or they'll be in default of their contract. And let's say that they said they will study English for 40 hours a week. And out of that 40 hours, they're going to spend 20 hours a week studying from the book, Macmillan Directed TOEFL, and the rest they're going to study on their own. And that's the focus of today's presentation. How you can give the students how this book gives the students the basic skills they need to go out and study on their own. You can't be with them all the time, so you have to prepare them to go out and learn. So, but you can make sure that they fulfill the terms of their contract. You go back and say, well, how many hours? Did you do enough? And why not? So the self-study activities that we're going to concern ourselves with today revolve around internet-based activities and, conversely, non-internet-based activities. Now we're really fortunate today that the internet is with us. One that we're fortunate that our students probably know about how to move around the internet better than we do. However, we're going to direct them a little bit, and we're going to show them how to use the skills that they learned in their book to develop, to practice their English once they get on the internet. So the internet, of course, you could listen, you can read, and that's what we're going to focus on in this presentation. But of course you can take it to the next level, which you'll see in the book actually, how to then turn it into a writing and speaking exercise. So the TOEFL IBT listening measures the student's ability to understand university level passages. These students are all going to American universities. They need to prepare themselves for the kind of work, for the kind of vocabulary and grammar that they're going to read in a variety of contexts. And we'll talk about these contexts in a minute. They really need to learn how to skim and scan, how to look quickly for specific information for major points or facts. They need to do it fluently and quickly. And the only way they can build that up is by, of course, constantly reading, constantly looking at the internet, and constantly being aware of what they're doing. That shouldn't be too much of a trouble for them to be constantly on the internet. They need to be able to recall a main idea and supporting details. All these skills are taught in the book, but then we give them extra practice on their own on the internet. They need to learn how to make inferences. They need to learn how to recognize organization of a passage, and they need to understand the purpose of that passage. So as I said, in the book, they will learn the skills. You give them the task on the internet, and they will do it there. The reading, sorry, the TOEFL IBT reading essentially does the same thing. It measures their ability to understand the main idea, to skim and scan for major points or facts. Again, skimming and scanning, that is really important. To read fluently and quickly, to recall main idea and supporting details, make inferences, recognize the organization of a passage, and understand the purpose of a passage. So that's what the TOEFL measures. And this is what we teach them in order for them to be able to score well. We teach the students how to establish a context, to look at something to determine what the passage or the lecture is about. Where does it take place? When does it take place? Who is important in the passage or the lecture? Why is the author writing this passage or talking about this? We work with them to help them develop specific skimming skills so they can look quickly over a passage and get the general idea. We teach them how to scan a passage so they can look for specific ideas. And most importantly, we're going to teach them how to take notes. Now, a student can take notes on all 4 parts of the TOEFL. Those notes can't leave the room, but note-taking is a very good skill to learn and one that will help them as they go through the test. Sometimes it's absolutely necessary, for example, in the writing section where they have to take notes as they listen and then turn that into an essay. They will learn how to understand the general idea and how to look for specific details. And most importantly, they need to build fluency and they need to build their speed. The TOEFL is a time test, so they need to move quickly and quickly through it. And they need to, of course, understand what they're doing when they do. And they need to use a keyboard. So again, that's probably not such a setback for many students. I'm not sure that you can read all these content areas, but they're all listed in the book, and they are all the type of topics found on the TOEFL. For example, American authors, American culture, American history. This is a US-based exam. Students are just coming to American universities. There are a lot of things that are implied, background knowledge that is implied when a lecturer starts. So he will assume that the students know something about the Civil War, something about America's attitude towards the Industrial Revolution, something about the way America developed going from east to west. So even though the history content itself is not tested, the language and the grammar and the vocabulary that are associated with these are often on the exam. So beyond American history, you get into general kind of things like animal behavior, anthropology, art history, etc. The list goes on, but the key thing is that it is an American exam. So what can a student do? Let's say that he wants to listen. So there are a variety of sources. That's right, Andre. It does involve a great deal of good background knowledge. So we're going to help them get that by looking at specific sites. Podcast for past, present themes, news websites, movies, and academic lectures. All of these are available on the internet, and most for free. Now I'm going to introduce you to, maybe introduce you to one of the most special websites to help prepare I just asked a question, is there a list of good free podcasts? I'm going to give you tons of free podcasts right now, so hang on, Rogero. Okay, so Voice of America is an excellent, excellent tool. Just put aside any political feelings you might have, but it will teach your students good English and give them a good background in a variety of American subjects. Okay. Because of bandwidth issues, we can't really show you the how it works, but the website is www.voanews.com. And then once you're there, you click on Learning English, and then then you get to this page. So I think I can do this. Whoops. Not so great. I just crossed out everything, I think. Thank you, moderator 1. So the big blob that I just crossed out there says Special English. And underneath it, you see a list of podcasts. Now, a student can get a podcast through iTunes, My Yahoo, RSS, but even better, they can do it right here on the VOA website. So if you look at the bottom of the page, it talks about video podcast, and you have a choice of iTunes. Let me see if I can get a better tool here. See where my little magic marker is going. So iTunes, at the bottom of the page, iTunes, My Yahoo, and Watch. So if a student is familiar with iTunes, he can go right in there and download these, or he can use the RSS server from My Yahoo, or even better, as I said, just watch it right there. If you press on the VOA podcast, you're going to get one of their you can get one of their special reports. This one is on agriculture. And as the woman is talking, they give subtitles below. So the students can not only hear it, but they can read it. And they can listen as often as they want. They could go back and back and back and listen nonstop until they understand every single phrase, and then even watch it without the words. But if you look in the bottom left-hand corner, there's a circle with the number 30. That's a recap feature. So if a student missed a word, missed a sentence, missed an idea, he clicks on that and he goes back 30 seconds. What an excellent tool. So that there's no excuse for missing anything. They can listen to it as much as they want until they absolutely understand every single word. And it's in special English, which means the vocabulary and grammar is controlled and spoken slowly. These are the other kind of things that you are offered. There's a special English TV, which is what you just saw. Those are the video. Then you get down to just the audio, things like Word Masters, which are interviews with English teachers, authors, linguists, and other guests. 15-minute features with people in America. 5-minute features in the news, words in their stories, which is also a good way to help students build vocabulary because it gives the history of special idioms. And then 4-minute features. And every day it's a different report, whether on Monday it's development, Tuesday it's agriculture, Wednesday it's health, Thursday education, Friday economics. This is the bar. I was hoping I would be able to play you something and then be able to recap, but you can see that You have your 30-second recap, a pause button. You are 4 minutes and 13 seconds into the presentation, and you have another 10 minutes left, which is an excellent way to know that, oh, I don't have another 2 minutes to listen. I'll come back later and try. And then, of course, the audio control. So I encourage you to, when this is over, to type in some of the websites that we're going to talk about today, especially voanews.com, and see what happens. All right, so this again is just another screen, what you will see when you type in VOA podcast. All right, these are the various subjects that you can get. So, as you notice, they're going to parallel, really, the kind of things that you find on the TOEFL. U.S. history, American life, people, places, literature. And being the voice of America, it's generally all America-based. So it gives the students a type of preparation. Andre asked, is the material authentic? The special English is rewritten to be in special English, but there are regular VOA programs at the same website which are in normal English. So you can get, once your students progress from special English, then they can go into the regular broadcast. But anyway, these are all the same kind of subjects here that are found on the TOEFL that will give the students the preparation that they need. All right. Now, here's another interesting thing on the Voice of America. I don't want to seem too jingoistic, but I think it's just an excellent, excellent website for this particular TOEFL exam. So here is, under Special English, an American history lecture. So just like the TOEFL, they have one photograph to sort of set the context, to give you the idea of what the passage will be about. Then you have your control bar here in the middle of the page. Sorry, I'm not so great with this. Okay. Which has the same repeat function, the same fast forward, the same stop and go. And this time they also have all the words. So even though it's not video, you can listen and follow along with the text as you read. And again, there are subjects on history, American life, arts and entertainment, etc. Now, but the important thing before the students start this is to give them the preparation that's found in direct to the TOEFL, because they need to know how to take notes, how to listen, how to look for the main ideas. And those kind of activities you will prepare them for by going through the book. And then you will send them on their own to learn English on their time, and you could go back to your own social activities at home while they're at the internet. Now, of course, in certain countries, I think like in everywhere probably, you can get all this right on your telephone, on your mobile phone. So you see the special English at the bottom, voamobile.com/SE. And then regular English. So, you know, it's just local charges or whatever, however it works in your community. So those were the podcasts. Those are the kind of things that are available. And that's the kind of things that are available just on the VOA. But you can find all of these also on iTunes, and you can find them on, if you type podcast in Google, podcast American history, you're going to come up with a lot of subjects. Students will learn more and better when they pick the subject. So if they are interested in American sports or sports in general, and they can find something in English, then they will learn the vocabulary associated with that. Or if they are particularly interested in something involved with history or paleontology or anthropology, then they can type in podcast anthropology and see what happens. Let's look at news websites. Now, of course, the VOA has daily news, not only in special English, but also in regular English. And the BBC, I think, even has a learning English. But remember, you're going to get international, universal news, and not American specific. And we want to begin to prepare our students for the American exam. CNN, Google News, Yahoo, all of those have, if not just pure reading, they also have listening as well. For example, on Yahoo, where are we? Well, I don't know. This seems to be a different screen, but anyway, you can, as you see, there's also Yahoo International, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam. You click on that, and you'll get a variety of different stories. Some of them will be linked to podcast. And incidentally, as you see on the bottom right-hand corner, enhanced video calling, because one of the ways to improve your listening is, of course, by calling somebody up, providing you their number. So movies. There aren't really movies for low-level learners, but if you buy a movie, which sometimes only costs $1.99 or $2.99, you can listen to it over and over and over. And these movies are available by downloading, so it doesn't, you have to worry about waiting in the post. But they're all available from Amazon, from iTunes, from Movie Lab TV. So, for example, these are the kind of movies that are available in iTunes. So right away, you get the most current things that you can rent or buy. Now, here's a really cool thing, academic lectures. So the others were general practice of things that you thought the students might, that they themselves actually wanted to learn. But you can tell them to go to iTunes University to actually hear academic lectures. And I'm going to add one thing that isn't on this list, is also that let's see, it's the if you Google academic lectures, and I think I might be talking about that in a minute, academic lecture history, it'll give you other options as well. Don't forget Google. Google is your friend, the student's friend. So on iTunes U, you get leading universities and museums and more that actually show lectures that are actually being given to students in these universities. And most of them, if not all of them, are free. So more than 800 universities have active iTunes sites. And about half of these institutions, including Stanford, Yale, MIT, Oxford, which we don't care about for this purpose, and UC Berkeley, will distribute their content publicly. So there, students who want to go to Stanford can actually see a Stanford class. They will actually see a lecture give a lecture. They will actually hear what their students in the class hear. They can practice taking notes. They see what a professor writes on the board. So this is courses in Yale, at Yale University. It's on the Civil War and Reconstruction era, 1845 to 1877. It's a video. So as you see on the extreme right, it says free, 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 free. So you pick a topic and click and watch. But of course, let me remind you again that the students will need to be prepared by you. They need to not just listen to these things, but they need to practice their note-taking skills. They need to go back to learn how some of those basic TOEFL skills like skimming and scanning, taking notes, listening for general ideas, looking for specific details, and they need to build up that fluency and speed that we talked about. So this, I think, is a lecture at Harvard. No, pardon me, Berkeley. This may come as a shock to some students that this is what American professors dress like. But there you are. So, and this man starts, I really wish I could show it to you, but you can look at it yourself later on. And he starts his class with the kind of general information that says, okay, tomorrow you're going to have to bring X, Y, in your books because we're going to break up into small groups. And as he's talking, students are coming in and sitting in the classroom. You can hear them talking. It's like a real live, it is a real live class. It just happens to be videotaped. So students not only will be able to prepare their English, but they will also get the feeling for what it's like to sit in an American university. So, YouTube, that was the other one I was trying to think. So academic lectures from iTunes University and from YouTube. So here are the YouTube. If you notice at the top, I wrote in academic lectures under the search column, and then this is what I got. Advise your students to skip the top the ones in pink because those are promotional and they make cost, but go underneath that and look for some free ones. So here is a Gary lecture with a PowerPoint. Here's one on the bottom's contemporary topic student discussion based on a Gary lecture. So you not only have the lecture, but then you follow up with a student discussion. Now one of the main things in a TOEFL is you have both types of discussions that students have to listen to and have to take notes on and have to sometimes turn into an essay. So first you have the students who, I'm looking at the third one down. You may not be able to see it, but trust me. The third one down says Contemporary Topics Geary Lecture with PowerPoint. The last one there says Contemporary Topics Student Discussion based on Geary Lecture. So those are the two types of listening. You have a casual discussion and then a lecture. You get both here on YouTube. So again, I went into YouTube, I typed university lecture, I didn't even finish the word, and it came up with all these options. University lectures Harvard, University lecture prank, forget that one, University lecture Princeton, psychology, Berkeley, history, wherever you want to go, or whatever is interesting to a student, he can go into, as long as he has been prepared by you to take notes, to listen to the general idea, and listens for specific details. Another brilliant one is the History Channel. So again, that's available with YouTube. Now the History Channel is almost like a lecture, but it's more like a movie. It's something made for television. But you hear a lot about basic American, well actually universal things. So for example, the first one is the Jay-Z history, a music video for Jay-Z's, for information about Jay-Z. So students interested in music might be interested in Jay-Z, will be able to listen to this over and over. Even though this particular subject may never be on the TOEFL, the skills of listening for specific details is a skill that they need to develop. So don't be so concerned about it may not be totally on topic. As long as it's in English and they're enjoying it, they're learning. Speaking, now this gets a bit more difficult. The TOEFL is, you do have to speak, it is recorded, so it's not really unlike a chat. And there's a couple different ways. You can have the voice over internet protocol, so things like Skype, but you always have to have somebody at the other end, you know, a willing partner to talk to. And there is, you know, perhaps one of the options that we can provide later on is like a bulletin board where students interested in talking to one another can give a Skype number, not their actual number because you have to be careful about those kind of things, but a special Learning English number that can link up the students and they can talk together. We'll think about that. The other thing is just basic chat. So under VoIP you have Skype, TruePhone, Fring, Line 2, Google Voice, Free Phone to Phone. Not all are available in every country. Not all are available with every computer, but see what's available. This will be one of the hardest things for students to do on their own. Chat, we have both social and academic. For chat online on your Google homepage, you need to have a Google account, and then you need to have a video like we do now. But here's one genius thing for those with a little bit of resources, is that they can have an online tutor. So here are the features of the top 5 online tutoring websites. So you can actually pay somebody to listen to you. If you look down at the bottom, the next to the last column says the pricing. $100 a month for unlimited tutoring. $30 an hour, $30 to $35 an hour, $20 an hour, or $99 to $150 a month, I think it is. But of course, you look at the top, you see that some of these are in, 2 of them are in India, but 3 are in the United States. So you establish an account, and you could call up and say, I need some help with my American history. I want to talk to a professor, to a tutor about American history. I want to talk to somebody about my essay. So that way they can read the essay and also comment on it. This is a great boon for you because you don't have time to read all their essays, especially if they've been working on the internet. Your job is to prepare them to do these other things. Is to prepare them to listen to the internet, is to prepare them, give them the TOEFL skills that they need to go and do listening, speaking, reading, writing on the internet. So, writing, here we go. Note-taking, the most valuable skill that they can learn. It really focuses their listening, focuses their attention, and helps them move quickly through a passage. Also essay, and then all these have to be turned into essays. Their notes have to be turned into essays. So they could begin to just do essay writing on their own. Emailing to one another, blogging, the students could start their own blog, or perhaps we can facilitate that in some way. Social networking like Facebook or MySpace, whatever students must be involved in, but it should be done, of course, in English. Here's a really neat one. It's real. If you go to university websites, the actual university, and then they will have an undergraduate admission page, and then you could ask them questions. Now, you may not want to pick a university you plan to go. You tell your students not to pick a university they want to go to, because you know you don't have a lot of negative impressions left behind. But maybe pick something else, and then write to that admissions officer and say, what's required? Where would I live? What is your dorm facility like? Because those kind of topics are TOEFL topics, casual TOEFL topics. And then establishing credits in a class, making office hour appointments. Those are all themes that you hear on the TOEFL. We prepare you for that in direct to the TOEFL, but you can actually put that into use by actually writing to a real-life admission officer and asking questions about that. Blogging. Going back to the VOA, they have a blog, and students can write on to that. So Here's one about the student union and a VOA blog about studying in the United States. So students get a practice to read other people's blogs, they can write on this blog, and they also learn more about the kind of life that they're going to experience when they get to the United States. So here's one example of a blog written by I think a student from Hong Kong. He missed a flight, and he said, if there's one thing I recently learned, it is that you never know what America has in store for you to explore. San Francisco is one of those American gems that charm me immediately. I had a half-day layover last Saturday as I was flying back to school in New Mexico. Since my flight from Hong Kong to San Francisco arrived quite early in the morning, I decided to make a quick visit to the downtown area of the city. Now, I'm not sure whether that was edited or that's really the way the student wrote, but he's a genius. And then he adds photos and goes into detail about his trips. And then you have also an option at the bottom to tweet about this and to share it. Now, of course, with tweet you only get 140 characters, which may be appealing to students, but advise them, of course, that they need to try to write with full words so that they don't end up using tweet vocabulary when they type on the TOEFL exam. Book reviewing at Amazon. You have a chance to look at books that might interest you, books that you have read, and then write a review about it. Tell people what you think. Tell them why they should or should not buy the book. Score it. Read other people's reviews. So you can read, you can listen. It's all, you get practice, and you also get practice on a variety of themes. Okay, so internet reading. Reading actually is one of the easiest things. You just have to find something the student has to find something. Let me remind you again, it's the student's job, not yours. Your job is to prepare them using direct to TOEFL, and it's the student who has to find out what he wants to look at and how often he wants to look at it. But remind him of the contract. So news, articles, research, blogging, social network reviews, the same thing. Here we go. So let me just go back 1 second, because we went through all of those, and I think you'll, yeah, that's enough. Okay, very quickly, let's go to the non-internet-based activities, because we want to leave some time for questions. Now, these are things that they're probably ultimately going to have to go to the internet anyway, because it'll be more difficult, but listening to English language radio, if there is such a thing in your country. Watch movies and TV in English if you can. Listen to audiobooks in English. But of course then, if you do, you're really going to want to have special control on your Kindle so that you can go back quite easily. Speaking, this requires a lot of personal effort. For example, talk to yourself. Act like a crazy man. Walk down the street. Describe your daily activities out loud. So, for example, imagine that you are a student. You're sitting in front of your computer listening to me. But let's say that I stopped talking, which would be a blessing, and you were able just to focus on your surroundings. What would you say about your surroundings? You'd say, I'm sitting at a chair. I'm sitting at a desk. My computer is in front of me. But wonder if your English were better, so you can say, I'm sitting on a chair that has arms and a back. It's an upholstered chair. It's upholstered in brown leather. The chair is Old English, or the chair is 1950s. That my computer is a laptop. My computer is 8 inches by 14 inches. My computer has a wide screen. The desktop is deep blue. My desk is made of chrome, or it's rectangular, or it's oval, or it has 2 drawers. I open one drawer, and what do I see in that drawer? You learn the word best when you really need to use it. Every native speaker can go on for a long time describing a particular room. But how long can your students go on? Force them to keep talking. Force themselves to ask more questions about what they see. Let's say the general theme is this is a table, but the specific details are it's a wooden table, it's a rectangular table, it's 40 centimeters off the floor, it has 3 legs, it has 4 legs, the legs are made of metal, the metal is chrome. Whatever, you could keep describing. You get the idea. Just force them to keep going and going and improve their vocabulary as they do. Whoops, did I jump? I'm sorry. Let me go back. They could find a conversation buddy. I mean, years ago, you go to China, you would suddenly be surrounded by everybody desperate to speak and practice English. And so similarly, there must be some local tourist, or if they're not native speakers, then a classmate will do. Just force one another to only use English. Start an English language discussion group on any subject. You read things on the internet, now let's talk about it. Have group assign, make the students have a buddy, and they say, okay, you read this on VOA, let's both read this subject on VOA, and tomorrow let's talk about it. Oops, sorry. Writing. So now we can write a daily journal, write a letter to an English speaker, write a letter to the editor of an English language newspaper, write descriptions of your family and friends. The more you tell your students to write, the better writers they're going to become. And one way to do this is just to either take dictation out of something they're listening to, or to just copy, to take a newspaper article and write it out longhand, or to type it. And then once they could also then practice on their own by taking their own ideas and writing a daily journal, writing a letter to somebody, but this is again like writing a blog or something. So whatever they need, whatever they've been listening to, have them write about it in some way. Okay, this is pretty obvious. These are non-internet things you find on your bookshelves, at libraries, in your school classroom perhaps, and skills. So the real point of all of this is that we are trying to establish a context that shows what a passage is about, where it takes place, when it takes place, who's important, and why is the author writing this or speaking about this. So these are the kind of questions that appear on the TOEFL when they discuss a theme, when they discuss a reading passage, when they discuss a lecture. So a student needs to establish this context. He can do it by skimming and scanning, taking notes, understanding general ideas, looking for specific details, and all of these things will help him build fluency and speed, and of course, learn to use that keyboard. So he really needs to develop these skills, and these skills are what he will learn in direct, he and she will learn in direct to TOEFL. I think Barbara had a question. I don't know. Anyway, we'll move on. So, Anna, I'll get to your question in 1 second, but this is the end of the presentation, the formal presentation. We'll go into questions now, but we want you to fill out this survey on studying for the TOEFL and teaching the TOEFL. Can you see these things? SurveyMonkey.com/S teaching TOEFL. And then to get your certificate of attendance to show that you listened to me for 45 minutes, you need to send an email to help@macmillan.com. And in your subject line, you write Lynn Lougheed Webinar Certificate. And here's the real deal. If you complete both of those surveys, you're going to get 10% off of the Macmillan TOEFL titles. So what could be better than that, except getting it for free? Okay. So how can we practice note-taking? Anna, that's all in the book. We very carefully build up different note-taking skills, like listening for the general idea and writing that down, then listening for specific details that support that general idea and writing those down. And we talk about different ways of organizing notes, either in an outline form or in a web map where the ideas are just everywhere. It's a difficult skill, but like listening is a very difficult skill, to try to pick out the specific information you need from something. But that's the joy of something like the VOA Special News. You can just go back and back and back and listen again and fill in your notes. And like any skill, you'll get better with practice. Any other questions? Andre? You're welcome, Andre. So far so clear. Thank you, Barbara. I'm Charlie. I'm glad it was very helpful. If you have any other further questions, you can always email me at Lougheed@lougheed.com, or any of your Macmillan representatives, I think, will be glad to help you with the book. So, if there's no other questions, I will say goodbye. All right, thank you very much.